Hello and welcome. This is Amhara Media Corporation and you are watching our Thursday update live from Bahardar, Ethiopia. And I am Fikrat Isod. Stay with us. House delists TPLF from terrorist organizations. The Ethiopian House of People's Representatives has delisted TPLF from the terrorist designation. In the extraordinary sessions held yesterday, the House has delisted TPLF from terrorist organizations with majority vote 61 against and 5 abstentions. The decision will have tantamount contribution to the full implementation of the peace agreement signed between the federal government of Ethiopia and TPLF in South Africa, Pretoria, last year. Chief Government Whip Tesfaye Beljige said the removal of Tigray People's Liberation Front from the terror list will help speed up the implementation of the peace agreement reached between the federal government and the group. Ababa Brhane will give us the detail.
The Ethiopian House of People's Representatives delisted TPLF from the terror list with a majority vote, 61 against and 5 abstentions. The position reached by the government to remove the designation of TPLF from terror list was presented to members of the House by Chief Government Whip Tesfaye Beljige. According to him, the Pretoria Peace Agreement is about making lasting peace in the country and the Ethiopian people have come out of the atmosphere of war. Tesfaye stated that the peace agreement has begun to bear fruit in many ways, including the significant role it has played in improving Ethiopia's image and diplomatic efforts at the international level. The chief whip stressed that it is therefore crucial to remove TPLF from the terror list in order to fully implement the peace agreement. He noted this decision will not only help to bring lasting peace in the country and resolve differences in a civilized manner, but it will also help to support the efforts of the National Dialogue Commission. Following the presentation, members of the House raised various questions and concerns in removing TPLF from the terror list. Responding to the queries, Redwan Hussein, National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister, said it is necessary to remove the designation of TPLF from terrorist because it is part of the peace agreement. He added that as Tigray region is part of the country, the people of Tigray should have seats in the House and decide equally on the affairs of their country so that citizens can get the services they deserve. Justice Minister Gideon Timotheus said on his part that removing TPLF from the terror list is important for the full implementation of the peace agreement that can be achieved. He stated that there is still work to be done to create a viable environment and fully implement the peace agreement, adding that it is therefore necessary to remove the TPLF from the terror list. Noting that various activities have been intensified to restore services in the region, the minister said a lot of work is needed to fully restore services in the region, provide budget and get students back to school. Gideon added that issues of legal responsibility will be seen in the process of transitional justice that has started.
Finance Minister Ahmed Shide said even if the series of discussions between the government of Ethiopia and the G20 Common Framework for Debt Treatments are likely to succeed, the slow process needs to be stepped up urgently. Modamuliye will give us a detail.
The finance minister told Ethiopian news agency that if Ethiopia's debt treatment request succeeds, its high debt status will improve to a moderate one. From the series of fruitful discussions held with stakeholders and officials, the request is believed to succeed, he added. According to him, it is believed that Ethiopia's G20 Common Framework debt treatment request will succeed. Moreover, the minister revealed that the government is concluding the preparation of the second homegrown economic reform agenda. Ahmed pointed out that price increases are affecting Ethiopia's economy despite the resilience and growth witnessed in the country over the past few challenging years due to the war in the northern part of the nation and the Russia-Ukraine war. In order to solve these and other problems, the government will continue to implement the second homegrown economic reform and facilitate reconstruction efforts, narrow macroeconomic gaps, and increase private sector participation in the economy. The second homegrown economic reform plan will be discussed among government circles and partners before implementation, he stated. The first homegrown economic reform, introduced in 2018, has proved effective to deter internal and external economic challenges. Therefore, the government is working on additional economic reform plan that will help to control inflation, improve foreign currency availability and administration, enhance domestic resources mobilization, and increase local and foreign investment.
Ministry of Industry launched Ethiopia Tamret Expo 2023, which will be held from May 6 to 10 in Addis Ababa at the Millennium Hall, with a view to widening the market destination of Ethiopian manufacturing products across the globe. Modamuliye will give us the detail.
Ethiopia Tamret, which means Let Ethiopia Produce, is a national movement launched last year by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed with a view to creating a competitive manufacturing industry by addressing the challenges facing the sector in a sustainable, integrated and comprehensive manner. Ethiopia Tamret Expo 2023 aims to promote Ethiopia's products to the global market, which will help to widen the market destinations of Ethiopian products. Speaking during the launching ceremony of the expo, Industry Minister Malaku Al-Level said foreign investors are also expected to participate at the expo with their technologies in addition to the local manufacturers. The government has been working with due attention in order to strengthen the sector by taking experiences of successful countries including Japan, Singapore and Malaysia, among others, he said. Malaku stated Ethiopia Tamret movement aims at enhancing the manufacturers' capacity, widen their market destination, increase export amount, as well as strengthen import substitution. He underscored that the movement will also help to enhance the collaborative activities of stakeholders, including financial institutions, with a view to solve the bottlenecks in the sector. According to him, a lot of inputs are expected from Ethiopia Tamret Expo 2023 through discussion and experience exchange both with local and international stakeholders for the successful implementation of the movement.
The Council of Ministers has decided to raise the authorized capital of Ethiopian Railway Corporation to 221 billion birr, according to the Office of the Prime Minister. Let's get more from the report. In its regular session yesterday, the Council instructed the Ethiopian Railway Corporation to complete infrastructures under construction and to make the completed ones operational. The regulation on the corporation would accordingly become effective from the date of its publication on the Negaret Gazette. Moreover, the Council discussed various issues and referred proclamations to the House of People's Representatives for endorsement. The Council also discussed a draft proclamation on public enterprises. The bill is aimed at ensuring the transparency and accountability of the corporate management system of public enterprises, strengthening their competitiveness and efficiency through modernizing their corporate finance management system. The bill is expected to improve the debt burden of the enterprises so that they can effectively discharge their social responsibilities without affecting their profitability. More importantly, it enables the state-owned enterprises to contribute to the country's economic development. The Council referred the draft proclamation to the House of People's Representatives for endorsement. The other draft bills tabled for discussion were proclamations designed to approve the agreements Ethiopia has concluded with the Luxembourg government and the Swiss Confederation for avoidance of double taxation and tax evasion prevention. During the discussion, it was noted that the proclamations have significant contributions towards encouraging investors to invest their resources in Ethiopia. The bills were subsequently referred to the House of People's Representatives for approval. According to Ministry of Agriculture, the Ethiopian government is striving to enhance the responsible agricultural investments that can meet nationally, regionally, and internationally accepted principles. Ababa Burhani reports.
In his opening remark at the National Multi-Stakeholders Dialogue on Responsible Governance of Investment in Land underway in Addis Ababa, Agriculture State Minister Ifa Muleta said that land in Ethiopia is not only the foundation of the economy but also plays significant role in agriculture, social and political affairs. The government of Ethiopia is therefore carefully looking for a long-term sustainable land use system which enables it to design a guiding policy framework that addresses both smallholders and commercial ones. According to him, the government has demonstrated strong commitment to agriculture in order to increase production and productivity of smallholders through dissemination of effective technologies and scaling up strategies. It was learned that, as a result, considerable achievements have been registered over the past decades, even if there is still substantial scope to improve production, productivity, and to also create untapped market linkages.
We are striving to enhance responsible agricultural investments that can meet national, regional, and international accepted principles and guidelines in an innovative and responsible ways. Ended establishing responsible agricultural investment systems in the main objective of our current reform agenda in the sector where land governance is a crucial issue.
Responsible governance of investment in land project manager Christian Mesmer said that land is a finite and non-renewable resource that many found significance in economic, social, ecological, cultural and political terms. Due attention must therefore be given to this precious resource from national to Kabali level. The manager noted that the global rush for land indicates that many landowner local communities do not benefit from land investment. Christian added that the lack of safeguarding and consultation mechanisms in doing land allocation process result in land degradation, disputes and evictions.
With its agricultural reform agenda, the government of Ethiopia demonstrates its commitment towards good land governance through improved land tenure security for both smallholders and commercial agriculture investors alike.
The manager stated that many systematic efforts have been undertaken, adding that the country can still make major headway in ensuring responsible agricultural investment. EU delegation Green Deal team leader Roberto Shiliro said on his part that land governance is a precondition for many development policy and strategy in agriculture. The team leader said that this is particularly important in Ethiopia to fully exploit its unleashed potential, adding that the UN said its member states have taken various measures, including the adoption of UN land policy guidance in 2004, in order to meet these objectives.
The land governance is a precondition for any economic development policy and strategy, in particular on agriculture. And this is particularly important in Ethiopia to fully exploit its acknowledged potential.
According to Shiliro, the EU supports this initiative, acknowledging that responsible land management is a key and critical issue in Ethiopia. The team leader further underlined that they need to have specific Ethiopian approach.
Ethiopian Capital Market Authority Director General Brooke Taye said the process of realizing a capital market in Ethiopia is well underway in order to ensure the existence of a functioning market soon. Let's get more from the report. In an exclusive interview with Ethiopian news agency, the Director General said what the authority has been doing is establishing the necessary legal parameters that allows to start the market and become operational. According to Brooks, the authority has finalized and issued 3 different directives.
The Capital Market Authority has been officially established with the appointment of the board and the necessary management in the past 3 months. And, since then, what we've been doing is establishing the necessary legal parameters to allow us to start the market and to become operational. We've finalized and issued 3 different directives: the Capital Market Service Providers Directive, Exchange Directive, and SRO Directive, Service Self-Regulatory Organization Directives, which would give us, which would allow us to start issuing the necessary license to market participants. For example, under the Capital Market Service Provider Directive, we will be licensing brokers, dealers, investment banks, advisories, and several types of market participants who would end up being the main agents who will be operating in the exchange sphere and providing the necessary support and guidance to investors who want to take part in the capital market ecosystem.
The Director General stated that Ethiopian Capital Market Authority has received excellent feedbacks from a lot of people who are experts in this field, and they are finalizing those directives and providing the final version of adoption. Stressing that significance of structuring the institution, he said that Ethiopian Capital Market Authority has been structuring the authority in different areas, including hiring qualified human resources, alongside its priority of designing a 5-year strategy. With regard to its mandate, its priorities are supporting the market, investor, and focusing energy getting investors ready to participate in the market.
One of our mandate is to support the market, to support investors, and then focus on our energy in terms of getting the market, the investor, ready to participate in this sector. So what we're working on is we're organizing several conferences, discussions, been participating with lectures at many different universities, and creating a relationship with some of the major Ethiopian universities so that we can provide the necessary guidance as to where we are, what's the expectation of the market, and then for their students as well, what to expect in terms of job opportunity and others. So that's what we've been working on, which will accelerate along the way.
Brooke elaborated that the overall process is progressing well based on their timelines that they shared with their board, and they are going to deliver on commitment to make sure that Ethiopia would have functioning capital markets very soon.
The process is ongoing, and it's progressing based on our timeline that we've shared with our board, and we obviously there are many, as a new institution, there are a lot of challenges that you need to overcome, but those are challenges that one needs to overcome to make sure that the market is ready, and we provide, deliver on our commitment, the responsibility that's that the authority has. So, but it's well in progress. We're going to deliver on our commitment to make sure that Ethiopia would have a functioning capital markets very soon.
Recalling that one of the major commitments of the government is to make sure that there is macro stability, the Director General underscored that when they envision macro stability, that means they try to focus on having a market mechanism to mobilize resources.
Under the homegrown economic reform, one of the major commitments of the government was to make sure there is a macro stability. And when you envision a macro stability, that means you try to focus on having a market mechanism to mobilize resource. You don't only rely on a certain type of debt. For example, you don't rely on a foreign debt to invest on your infrastructure.
The Ethiopian Capital Market Authority was established in June 2022 by the National Bank of Ethiopia.
In North Wallo, what is called Warke, there are 2 Kabbalites in that area. The regional government, led by His Excellency Dr. Yilikan, we officially launched the rehabilitation program there. We selected that area because 234 houses were totally destroyed.
In a census study conducted by universities in Amhara region, women and children were adversely affected by the war. What empirical evidence do you have to support this claim?
You cannot empirically list down those psychological and humanitarian aspects.
What have you accomplished in this regard so far?
They have been working on research to publish this book.
But first, you are telling me that you have this 5 years strategy.
Yeah.
5 years is a very, very long time for people out there may not have enough to eat this week.
Immediate issues, livelihood issues, life-saving issues, emergency responses is so named rehabilitation. That's what I mean it. The first 1 year.
What it takes to revive particularly the health sector?
11.4 million were displaced. Look, 11 point, I'm not talking about few figures.
What has been the response of key actors in the rehabilitation and reconstruction tasks so far?
It is sluggish, I can say that. It remains on the paper, it is not descended down to the ground.
Not on the things that you can't, but on the things that you can do.
We'll push them, we'll knock at the doors of those NGOs time and again until they become human.
Do you believe the federal government give enough attention and resources from the available resources to this region, considering the kind of devastation that the region has incurred in the past 2 years?
I don't believe that. There are gaps.
Do you think it is underreported, undercovered by powerful news organizations like the New York Times or Washington Post or whatever, that powerful decision makers rely on for their information?
It's not the information that matters. It's not the data that matters. The interest matters.
This is Amhara Media Corporation and you are watching our Thursday update live from Bahardar, Ethiopia. Proceeding to News Beyond Borders. The first major United Nations conference on water in 45 years got underway on Wednesday in New York with an urgent call to manage the precious resource. In his speech, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres stressed the importance of water as key to development. Antonio Guterres said that nearly 3 out of 4 natural disasters are linked to water. 1 in 4 people lives without safely managed water service or clean drinking water, and over 1.7 billion people lack basic sanitation. Ahead of the conference, the U.S. ambassador at the United Nations announced that the United States had pledged $49 billion towards water security at home and around the world. A 2022 study by the University of California, Los Angeles estimated that almost half of the world's population will suffer severe water stress by 2030. This is a crisis that affects people around the globe and one that demands concrete action. That significant number should demonstrate just how seriously we take water security, announced Linda Thomas-Greenfield, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. On Tuesday, the United Nations released the World Water Development Report 2023. Among its findings, it says 26% of the world's population doesn't have access to safe drinking water and 46% lacks access to basic sanitation. Zimbabwe turns to call from China to boost its power supply. The country is struggling to meet its needs as power cuts can last up to 19 hours a day. On Monday, a new generation unit started operating. It is a first of 2 units, each with a capacity of 300 megawatts, largely financed by China. Estimates suggest that Zimbabwe's 16 million people would need about 1,700 megawatts of power daily, a far cry from what a country is capable of producing. The situation has been made worse by the drought that currently affects the southern African country, in particular the Kariba Dam in northern Zimbabwe, which is shared with neighboring Zambia. The economy depends on Hawinge, its largest coal-fired station, for electricity. This is all we got for today. I am Fukrati Zodo and you are watching our daily news. Goodbye and have a nice time.